Yo, what is good, my anime faithful? What is good? The gold's in the window. Guys, this is what you look for in a JoJo episode. Maybe not so much the guy not dying part, but just the instances of amazing new abilities being brought to the forefront, not to mention the possibilities that we could be seeing now with the gang organization that wasn't really possible at first, but now it seems like it's about to be the end all be all of the whole entire show, which simply put, I think it's amazing because now, um, with Brucietti pretty much making his move last week and, getting caught the way he did, it was obvious to me that that was like that was a small encounter, after he starts getting away and he starts finding out that even, the Zipper could get him advantages during this fight. It kind of makes sense to me that this was just a for now type of fight. So to then see this man get like bodied again by the stand, like straight up get his body cut up from up to down. It's so weird to me to know that Brucietti is still just capable of fighting it through, like Jotaro finally gets to him when he like goes up to the first floor and he can like rest for a little bit, but you guys got to remember he had a hole punched in him, and then after the hole punched in him, he got straight up hit so hard on his shoulder blade that it went through his shoulder blade. Like the man is jacked up. So to all of a sudden see all this and still be like, oh yeah, he's good. He is fine. It's ridiculous to me. But that's exactly what I called. I called this in my homeboy Shy Lion's comment section, and I called it in my review. I didn't believe he was dead just because he seems too much like a good guy, only in the fact of this gang is full of disgusting people, and somehow you're gonna tell me that you're gonna kill off some of the good ones that are actually in, so that's just how I felt at the moment. And then once I saw that they probably weren't going to continue to take it that way, it was obvious to me that he was gonna make it, because not only did he take the first blow and like as soon as the episode comes back, he has the eyeballs that kind of indicate death. This non-bright looking, glossed over, blank canvas looking eyes is what, started to appear. And with one little bit of a thought process of what you're going to be leaving behind if you do die, I think that's another reason why he kind of just started to push himself, and he was capable of even getting up at the end of the day, because no reason should he have been able to just walk that off, so there had to have been some type of reason, and it was definitely because of how he felt when he was a kid and how he was treated was probably a big piece of the puzzle there. So I love that aspect of the show, kind of drawing from the backstory, which it then makes it very reasonable why they bring up new parts of a backstory that they didn't use already, because we could have been just seeing him do all these things and guessing why he's doing it, but instead we have a good understanding that if he went all that way to protect his father, and this father is doing the opposite, he's trying to straight up destroy his daughter for his own selfish gains, Buccinetti can't understand that, you know what I mean? He can't understand the reasoning behind it. There is no reasoning behind it. You just don't do it in his eyes, so that's what he's talking about. He's right. And to think that what's his face had already kind of had this all already planned, Geo, and this is what I've been telling you guys since I've been watching the show. I've never really trusted Geo when it came down to the organization, so Anybody who pretty much betrayed Bucciati or was willing to not stay, you were practically signing your death waiver because Gio knows everything pretty much that he needs to know about your stand, and with his own stand, he can counter it. I think he can counter pretty much any stand just by the examples we've been shown time in and time again. He has multiple upon multiple ways in his mind that he can use logic and actual physics of the worlds to beat you. But that's when it comes all full circle back to this guy, the boss, who Bucciati pretty much confirms his stand is invincible. Uh, it can't be necessarily beat, which, is the first instances he kind of feels he's just like, man, like, I'm really trying to beat this guy with something that I don't even know I can beat him with. So that's kind of why his sticky finger worked a lot better after his next attempt, because instead of going full on for the punch and going fully for some damage, something that's obvious, he went more for a tactical retreat, and that wasn't obvious. So by swinging a punch at someone that's close enough, and it should, be like he had to use his ability to get away from it. That was the whole point. And once he used it, it still wasn't his main target overall. His main target was to punch the roof so he could escape up to the first floor closer to his teammates and get out of the basement. But with the Emperor, he straight up saw 6 stands and he's like, yeah, I am not crazy enough to try to take those odds on. I am going to dip. Like, this is a man who can see moves and change the outcome of those moves because he knows how they're coming. He sees the trajectory. So if I threw a punch, my first punch I threw, he's looking at it, and my body still hasn't even really thrown the punch. So now he knows exactly what the punch looks like, where it's going, and how it's coming. And so he could counteract it. But since it's only for a few seconds, seemingly even less seconds than Dio's time skip, or the world, that right there. We're going to take it. Because it's not something as long as this, it was a lot easier. Because imagine Dio doing his world. He could probably take out 6 people within 9 seconds, with a knife to the head, knife to the head, knife to the head. And even with their stands, they wouldn't stand that much chance against it. So that's when it comes down to this, him complimenting Bucciati's keen thought process, and then, taking his own advice, or taking his own praise and kind of applying it to himself, saying, hey, you did that, and I'm not dumb enough to go into a fight that I know I'm not going to win, so I'm also going to make some smart moves right here and just keep my distance and stuff. So that's what we're dealing with in this show. A boss that already can compliment the enemy when they do something very intelligent, and not only that, he has a very, very good amount of information on all of them, seeing how it wouldn't be hard to just ask when they were first working for him, and then after they pretty much would have to tell at that point because they're under the organization. So we'll see how this all pans out, because with the choices that he leaves his crew pretty much that they have to choose on their own to come, we actually lose only 1 crew member, which I'm actually surprised about. I really didn't think even one was going to stay, because think about it, guys. The guy, the Emperor, already has seen them as 6 stand enemies, right? So regardless of what you do at this point, I mean, to be fair, he didn't know that he said that, but you're part of Bucciati's team, right? Come on, what do you expect the boss to think once you were with him from the start to get there, and you're with them now? He sees them running away, is like you'd think that the boss won't just automatically place you on as a traitor, you know? So that was my first thought process, including when it comes down to my homie. I asked him and he's like, are you my friend and this is happening? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, then I would go with you. He's like, this is an easy choice. You know? So I'm like, okay, so it's just me that I feel like these guys made, you know, that by them even decide, like, taking some time to think about it, they're dumb. Or not, it wasn't just me that, you know, would react straight up the same way as I thought I would, which is I would go with the homie, and we're gonna learn how to fight. Not to mention, Misa makes a good point saying, if Brucietti thinks he has a chance to win that fight, he clearly knows a little bit more than he should know about what the boss wants him to know about his powers or about his identity or about something, and that's what Mista's going off of. And that's the type of things you got to remember in this show is some little things that people give off, like hope and all these little things, are really the main grabbing point for some of the characters, like the hope that Gio brings to Brucietti just by him activating the power on a hint or like an ounce, a guessing that something was wrong, you know? And by doing so, he's the only reason why Brucietti had any type of breathing room and didn't die on the spot, you know? So these are the types of things that these characters do in this show that are so underrated, but at the same time, it's hard to pay attention to all that stuff when they're out here blowing your mind with these ridiculous powers and continuously still creating new powers to this day for us to freak out about. So, man, I truly loved seeing Brucietti make it out of this, including seeing Gio pretty much freaking out about his stand not healing him, and that even he had dizziness from blood loss, you know? So something might happen to Brucietti towards the end game, or he might just need to like relax and actually take a break, and they leave him or something. I don't know, man, because with Gio being pretty scared of his own stand not doing exactly what he expected it to do, and then we see a wound on Brucietti and he's not even bleeding, like there's no blood, and this thing has already gone fully through his hand and he doesn't seemingly feel it or anything. I don't know if this is like a moment of him just like completely out of it because of he's changed, he's going against the organization he's been raised by, and you know, all this stuff, and maybe he just does his adrenaline's pumping. But for an anime to specifically focus on all that stuff, I think the ability of Emperor has done a little bit more to Brucietti than we know. Like those time skips, all that blood that was lost in it maybe couldn't be gained back because those times were actually erased. Like those scenarios where he had blood still are gone. Like it's been a longer period of time since he didn't have that blood, and that's the time he's living in now. I am completely guessing, guys. I love a show that keeps me shrouded in mystery and doesn't really give me any answers until they feel like the answers are needed, which they're always needed because this is such an interesting show. But yeah, overall, guys, thank you so much for the support. YouTube's been doing some weird stuff to the views, but I know how you guys get down on all my videos, so that's all that matters. And you guys been dropping likes and stuff, so thank you so much. The likes make me just want to hop on every video and put as much energy into it as possible. Quick heads up is I need to go out and check out this spot that I will be working at, so I won't be dropping Date Alive or Index until later tonight, so I apologize for that. But they will be out at the same time pretty much. I will just drop both of them back to back, so I do want to say sorry about that. So with all that being said, my anime people, have an awesome day, night, evening, whatever the case may be, and I will talk to you in the next one. Alright, later.